central column, and the whole goddamn thing collapsed. That's right. We were there first. You heard it first. We were the ones who told you about the fact that that was not a plane that hit the first tower. That it was a missile retrofitted to look like a plane. And that the damn thing shot something into the building first, disappeared, and then a microsecond later, then blew up. Then we showed you that as the plane was banking into the second building, that underneath was this huge tank or something that wasn't on any other 737s. And that the bank could not have been made with the G-forces. That bank could not have been made by a pilot. He'd have blacked out before that and would have missed it. We showed you what the Israeli, through the Talmud, thought about Christians. And what they were allowed to do to you. Alex Jones is the most serious white boy telling the story next to the anonymous writer on the events of 9/11, and you can go and see what the anonymous writer did. His name is anonymous, and he's doing it so he does not have his life taken. It's on a website called whatreallyhappened.com. Pull down that information, because there's some things I missed back in this December of 2001, and I don't have all the sophisticated research materials and the ability. All I do is look at the information and try to put some points out there. But he went in and got all the dirt. He had, I mean, he broke it down, showed the pictures. Man, let me show you something. Let me show you something on your boy W. You know, it's deep. Let me see if I still have it here. It's deep because it's evidence of what went on, or what's been going on and been kept away from us. Evidence of how they play the perception game. Come back here. Don't you go nowhere. Let me see if it's here. If not, we'll move on and we'll get it later on, probably when I jump up on it. Oh, here's another thing. Check it out. This was very interesting, and I thought that maybe you all might see what this war in Palestine is all about. That's the war. See that black line? That's going to be the war. And it's going to keep going. All the way down to Ramallah. Section affected by ruling, partly finished. See? They're getting ready to take it and put it all the way out. They got ready to wall out or wall in the Palestinians. We got the Bantustan from South Africa again. Trying to yell at me. Yeah. Brothers and sisters, terror is all about money, mayhem, and murder. U.S. News and World Report, May 17, 2004. White House officials say they got a working premise about terrorism and the presidential election. It's going to happen, end quote. We assume, says a top administrative official, an attack will happen leading up to the election, and he added, it will happen here. And the stress keeps being ratcheted up. The terror factor is now relentless. It's estimated that the word terror is said by newscasters and talk show hosts about 20,000 times a day just in New York. It's so transparent who is behind this orchestrated yo-yo alert bullshit that even the cops are setting off M80s in the subway. It was supposed to be a terror maneuver against the people by the parasitic elite, right? But this Keystone Homer Simpson asshole didn't execute his assignment and blew his own simple ass up. Quicker than you could say Adolf Eichmann, Mein Führer, Giuliani. We hear that this cop, we hear it was about a cop, but he was stressed. He was fired. He wanted to be a hero. Poor thing. The brass was in on it. It was supposed to cause a panic. It was a drill. It was supposed to be the excuse to further militarize the area for the coming convention. It was supposed to be a political prophecy come true. Terror will strike soon, end quote. It was supposed to be the excuse to shut down the transportation routes that the tens of thousands of protesters were supposed to use to get to the rallies taking place 8 blocks from there. If this bastard would have pulled it off, the city would have shut down that line, causing the masses of people to have to use 6th Avenue and Lexington Avenue. 8th Avenue, of course, was already penned up. And to top it off, Boston is putting up over 80 cameras around the Democratic National Convention where it is to take place. Check Operation Mindfucking Action. 1, they picked Boston, a more Republican city, to have a Democratic convention. They picked New York, a traditionally Democratic city, to have a Republican convention. This arrangement is to purposefully instigate tension to create the reasoning for military action. Of course, agent provocateurs will be planted in both rallies to make sure that the primary reason for the protest on both sides are distracted with the help of the media. And by the way, the Boston officials say that the cameras are there to stay. Item, as if you didn't already know, the mandatory draft is on its way. It is here, and you can thank your man Wrangle for it. It should start on or around June 15th, technically 2005. There is pending legislation in the House and the Senate. It's called the Twin Bills, S-89 and H.R. 163, entitled the Universal National Service Act of 2003. The Universal National Service Act of 2003. The draft can begin as early as spring 2005, coincidentally just after the 2004 elections. And there are no more options left for the mass asses. Why? No one can avoid the draft anymore. These bills and the UNSA, which is the Universal National Service Act, listen carefully, eliminates higher education as a shelter. It includes women. There is no more refuge in Canada since the signing of something called the Smart Border Declaration in 2001. This was done between Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, John Manley, and U.S. Homeland Security Director, Tom Ridge. In other words, when you go up there, they're going to see what you are up there for, and they're going to monitor you, and they're going to tell the government, if you're a certain age, where you are. And if you are not reporting back, the Canadian officials have instructions based on this agreement to lock you up and ship you back for training. At this point, I would like to begin the final stages of part 1 before we take a break. I urge you, my beloved brothers and sisters, to pay extra close attention. When I was given a copy of this particular thing, I want to go through this. It was something that actually straightened my hair. So you could see I used to have real deep kinks. But when I read this, look what happened. This manual I'm about to give to you, you've heard of. It is a manual for the scientific subjugation of the peoples of America and eventually the entire planet. At the time, it seemed to be an excerpt or a primer of what I used to call Satan's Bible, aka the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Before we get into this, I will give you the name, but before we get into what was being said and what is being said proper, I'll let you know the name. It is called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, and we are going to go over this particular set of protocols that were just accidentally found and show you how they're being worked and manipulated into, matter of fact, to show you how they're in operation amongst you today based upon the way we are reacting. So before we move forward, I want to kind of go through some of the things that I had brought for you to see so that I could leave you with some things to think about. Let's just look at this here and see what it was actually about. We all know